Guys, thank you for helping us reach the likes goal. I ask that you help us reach 150 likes on this video again. This will help YouTube continue sending us our new videos, and our secondary channel also needs your help. The link is in the video description, so let's go to the video. On Earth, the Red Patrol was doing their best to conquer the Earth. They just created Cell Max to defeat our friends. That stupid Goku won't be able to with Cell's improved version, Magenta said. With him, we'll get out of Earth. Cell Max is very strong, but he's not ready yet, Dr. Hedo said. I don't care if he's ready or not. According to my informants, Goku is not on Earth. We must attack now so that when he returns, he won't have allies, Magenta said. I don't understand. Why don't you wait a little longer? Dr. Hedo said. I already told you. No, I'm not going to miss this opportunity, Magenta said. So do that damn thing right now. That way, Dr. Hedo, even if he didn't want to, would activate Cell Max. The great monster with his key would attract the attention of our friends. What is that? Gohan said, disconcerted. Gohan, what's going on? Videl said. You can't feel that key? Gohan said. Well, to tell you the truth, no, Videl said. I understand, it's too far for you to feel it, Gohan said. Gohan would go to investigate what was going on. Gohan, wait! Videl said, but Gohan had already left. Gohan would go to the key he detected. You would see Cell Max attacking a city. It can't be. My father and Vegeta are not here, Gohan said. Gohan would raise his ki to the maximum, ready to fight the beast. He would use the final mode to fight with all his strength. Still, Cell Max was too much for him. Gohan did everything possible to resist, but it was too much. Cell Max had great power. On the other hand, the other warriors would be warned of this. Piccolo, Krillin, 18, 17, and Tenshin Han would arrive. What the hell is that? Krillin said. It's like another prototype of Cell, 18 said. I can't believe it. Gohan won't be able to beat him, Piccolo said. Piccolo would raise his ki and go to his aid, but that wasn't enough. Cell Max had a power beyond what both warriors could bear. After this, the warming would reach the planet of Beerus, where Goku and Vegeta trained. Whis, please tell them to come now, Bulma said. Understood. I'll tell them, Whis said. Vegeta, we have to go there, Goku said. Don't look at me. You're the one with the teleportation, Vegeta said. Goku, it's supposed that the others should protect the Earth, Beerus said. Oh, does it all depend on you? I know, but if they're not there soon, we'll have to go there, Goku said. If it continues like this, it will never transcend as a warrior. It must let the others on Earth develop by themselves, Whis said. It is true, one day they won't be there and they'll have to fight for themselves, Beerus said. Anyway, we can't leave them unprotected, Vegeta said. Vegeta would put his hand on Goku's shoulder while he was looking for someone's ki on Earth. But Goku was having trouble feeling the presence from a distance. Come on, I have to find someone's ki, Goku said. Kakarot, hurry up, Vegeta said. Meanwhile, Gohan and Piccolo gave it their all, but they were about to fall. At one point, Cell Max hits Piccolo hard, throwing him away. Piccolo would be unconscious. Mr. Piccolo, Gohan said, desperate. Gohan would go for Piccolo to save him, but when he went for him, Cell Max would prepare a charged ki attack at them. It can't be, Gohan said, terrified. Goku and Vegeta would arrive just in time. Gohan, Goku screamed when he noticed the attack heading towards him. Goku, without thinking, would stand in front of his son. With all his strength, he would hold the attack against him. He managed to endure it, but it was too much. Dad, Gohan said. Get out of here, Goku said. Get out of there, Vegeta said. Gohan would get Piccolo out of there, but the moment he left, Goku couldn't stand the attack. It would impact on him, generating a big explosion. After this, Goku would be fired several meters away.
The atmosphere had become completely dull. There was only the beastly roar of Cell Max. "Dad!" Gohan screamed when he went for him. When Gohan arrived at his father, he would realize the worst. He had no life. "No, it can't be," Gohan said, disconcerted. "Damn it, Kakarot made a serious mistake," Vegeta said. Suddenly, Gohan would feel how energy flowed in his body as if it were electric current. He screamed by expelling his ki to a great level. That way, he would achieve a new transformation, the Beastly Mode. "Gohan," Vegeta said. "Gohan!" Gohan shouted furiously. Gohan was completely wrapped in an uncontrollable anger. His aura was overflowing. The Beastly Mode manifested in his body. His silver hair waved with the energy that flowed around him, and his red and ferocious eyes were fixed on Cell Max. Cell Max, despite his beastly nature, would recognize the change in Gohan's ki. The monster roars, challenging his new opponent, getting ready for the battle that was about to unleash. But it was not enough to intimidate Gohan. "I'll destroy you, damn it!" Gohan shouted with the voice full of anger contained for a long time. With an overhuman speed, Gohan would launch Cell Max, impacting with a powerful blow that shook the earth below them. Cell Max could hardly react before receiving a burst of devastating blows. Every punch and kick from Gohan was like a cannon, breaking Cell Max's armor and making him retreat. The monster would try to counterattack, but Gohan was on another level, dodging and blocking with an overhuman agility and precision. Gohan continued his ferocious assault, hitting Cell Max with unrelenting force. The monster would make a powerful cry while trying to counterattack, but every time he launched a blow, Gohan was already out of his reach, counterattacking with greater intensity. The battle would become more and more brutal, with the earth trembling under the feet of the fighters. Gohan, driven by pain and fury, seemed unstoppable. But Cell Max was not just any opponent. Despite the devastating blows he had received, "Gohan!" Vegeta said. "Gohan!" Gohan shouted furiously.
He was still an immeasurable power monster. With a roar that shakes the sky, Cell Max releases a massive wave of energy that would push Gohan back. The young warrior would fight to stay standing, but the force of the explosion would be enough to throw him away. Despite this, Gohan would not let himself be defeated. With a scream of fury, he would launch the attack again. Cell Max responded with his own counterattack, and the battle would reach a new level of intensity. Every blow they exchanged caused shockwaves that were felt miles away. The city, already devastated by the presence of Cell Max, he began to crumble under the weight of the power that was unleashed on her. Gohan, however, was not willing to give up a centimeter. The image of his fallen father, lifeless, fed his fury, giving him the strength necessary to continue fighting. With a deafening scream, Gohan would launch a devastating attack, impacting directly on the chest of Cell Max. The monster roared in pain, retroceding several steps, but still did not fall. The fight would become even fiercer. Cell Max, enraged, would begin to launch massive ki attacks, trying to knock down Gohan. With an unstoppable speed and skill, he dodged each of the attacks, getting closer and closer to the monster. When he was finally close enough, Gohan would launch a powerful direct attack, breaking Cell Max's armor and sending him to the ground. Take this. Gohan would be furious. Cell Max would get up with difficulty. His body was damaged and his energy diminished. Gohan, for his part, was exhausted, but his determination was still intact. He knew he had to end the monster, not only for his own good, but for the memory of his father. "This is for you, Dad!" Gohan screamed, gathering all his strength for a last attack. With a deafening scream, Gohan would launch a wave of massive energy, directed directly at Cell Max. The monster, unable to dodge or block the attack, would receive the full impact. The explosion would be so intense that the sky would light up with a blinding brightness. When the light finally faded, Gohan was standing, breathing with difficulty, while the Cellmax remains were crumbling around him. Gohan was staggering, exhausted from the battle. His beast mode would begin to fade, and with it, his energy would also drop from his knees next to his father's remains, while tears ran down his face. "Dad, I did it! I avenged you!" Gohan screamed with his barely audible voice. The others would approach, observing the scene with a mixture of amazement and sadness. Piccolo, still injured, would kneel next to Gohan, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Gohan, you did well," Piccolo said. "But it wasn't enough. I couldn't save him," Gohan would answer with his voice broken by the pain. Vegeta remained silent, observing the remains of Cellmax and Goku's lifeless body. The reality of the situation began to settle in on all of them. Goku, the strongest warrior on Earth, had fallen, and this time there would be no turning back. The Earth was in a state of mourning. The news of Goku's death had spread all over the planet. The Capsule Corporation was full of friends and family who came to pay tribute to the fallen hero. Milky was devastated by the loss of her husband. She could barely keep her composure. Goten, still very young, did not fully understand what had happened, but he knew that something terrible had happened. "Gohan, has Dad really gone?" Goten asked with tears in his eyes. Gohan, who had not yet fully recovered his energy, he would bend down to be at the height of his younger brother. He liked to find the right words, but he knew he couldn't lie to him. "Yes, Goten. Dad has gone, but he will always be with us. In our hearts," Gohan said, trying to console his brother. Goten agreed, hugging Gohan tightly. Both brothers would share a deep pain, a loss that seemed impossible to overcome. Our friends had gathered to discuss the situation. Bulma had called Shenlong. "Shenlong, I order you to revive Goku," Bulma said. "How can you not?" Furious Bulma said. "You have to revive my husband. You're supposed to be able to do whatever," Chi-Chi said. "Goku cannot be revived. He has done it many times and has asked to stay beyond," Shenlong said. "Goku has crossed the line so many times between life and death. Maybe this time, he has decided that it is time to rest," Piccolo would explain. "That does not make sense. Goku would never give up," Krillin said. "It's not giving up, Krillin. It's accepting that there is a time for everything. Goku taught us a lot, but maybe now it's up to us to fight for ourselves," Piccolo said, with a melancholy tone. Vegeta, who had remained silent, would finally speak. "Kakarot made his choice. Now it's our turn to protect this world. We can no longer depend on him," Vegeta said with his firm and determined voice. The words of Vegeta would resonate in all of them. Goku had left, and now they had to accept his absence and assume the responsibility of protecting the Earth. Goku floated in the sky, looking at the Earth with a feeling of peace that he had not felt in a long time. He was no longer tied to the pressure of protecting his planet, his loved ones, or his universe. For the first time, he had decided that his role as a defender of the world had finished. Wow, maybe it sounds selfish, but I feel very calm knowing that I no longer have that responsibility. Goku said, "Wow." There was a warm glow that enveloped him while he let himself fall into the grass of the beyond. There, heroes of past eras approached him. Some recognized him from previous battles. Others simply admired the power that radiated his presence. Among them was the great King Kaio-sama, who greeted him with a smile. "Goku, I'm glad to see you here, although I would have preferred you to arrive in less tragic circumstances." The great King Kaio-sama would comment, "Yes, I know, but I think it was time to let the others grow. Gohan is already strong enough to protect the Earth," Goku said, although a part of him missed being with his family and friends. While Goku began to meet legendary warriors,
On Earth, things were different. Gohan felt consumed by guilt. The image of his father sacrificing himself for him did not let him sleep. He still remembered the words of Shenlong saying that Goku could not be revived, and that only added more weight on his shoulders. "I cannot believe it. My father died because of me," Gohan said, with a great feeling of guilt in his being. Gohan was in the courtyard of the Capsule Corporation, training without rest. His mother, Chi-Chi, watched him from the window, worried about the intensity with which his eldest son was pushing. "This cannot go on like this," Chi-Chi would comment with a trembling voice to Bulma, who was sitting in the room with her. "I do not want Gohan to be destroyed by the weight of guilt. I know, but this is something that he has to solve in his own way," Bulma would answer. "We also have to face the reality that Gohan is our greatest defender now." The news of Goku's death had traveled rapidly throughout the planet and the universe. Some powerful beings who had always feared Goku, they would begin to prepare to attack the Earth. They knew that without him, the Z warriors were more vulnerable. At that moment, Vegeta would enter the courtyard where Gohan trained. Without saying a word, he just watched Gohan launch powerful bursts of energy against a training mannequin. Gohan's ki was violent, uncontrolled, and each attack made the ground tremble under his feet. "Kakarot, you were always too soft with him," Vegeta murmured to himself. Finally, Gohan would notice Vegeta's presence and stop. He was soaked in sweat, with agitated breathing, but there was still fury in his eyes. "What do you want, Vegeta?" Gohan asked, without bothering to hide his frustration. "I want to see if you're ready," Vegeta would answer coldly. "Now that Kakarot is dead, everything depends on you." Those words in Gohan resonated in his mind like a slap. Although he knew that Vegeta was right, he should be the one who defended the Earth. The same responsibility that his father had carried for so many years now fell on him, but was he ready? "I have observed you, Gohan," Vegeta would continue. "You have power, but you are missing something essential. You cannot just trust the rage to become stronger. You have to learn to control it." Gohan would squeeze his fists. He knew that Vegeta was trying to help him, but he still felt the pain of loss. "My father died because of me," Gohan said with a broken voice. "I could not save him." Vegeta looked at him intensely. "And what? Are you going to let that pain consume you, or are you going to use it to be stronger? Kakarot chose his path. You must choose yours," Vegeta said. "Also, forget that you will count on me to protect the Earth. If I did, Kakarot's death would be worth nothing." With those words, Vegeta would turn around and begin to walk to the place where he trained with increased gravity. "If you decide to train seriously, you will find me in the gravity chamber," Vegeta said before leaving. Gohan, in silence, observed how Vegeta was moving away. The beast mode that he had reached in the battle against Cell Max had given him an idea of what he could achieve, but it had also shown him how dangerous it could be if he did not learn to control it. Shortly after, Piccolo appears next to him. "Vegeta is right," Piccolo said. "You can no longer train alone. If you really want to take your father's place, you must be stronger than ever." Gohan said in silence. He had made his decision. He would train in the gravity chamber with Vegeta. He would train his own power and master it. He would be the protector of the Earth that his father had always believed he could be. Meanwhile, in the beyond, Goku felt at peace, but a part of him could not help but worry about what was happening on Earth. As he met more heroes of the past, among them warriors of other times and planets that had been legends in their time, he realized that the world was still ahead, even without his presence. One day, while he was sitting next to a crystal fall, an unknown warrior would approach him. He had an armor that Goku had not seen before, and his ki was incredibly powerful. "You're Goku, right?" the warrior asked. "Yes, that's right," Goku would answer with a smile. "And who are you?" "I'm Aryan. I heard a lot about you before I died, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to face you," Aryan said. Goku would stand guard, just like Aryan. Between them, they would start with a glorious fight. While on Earth, Gohan's internal struggle was just beginning. In the beyond, Goku embarked on new battles and learnings, facing heroes and warriors that had left their mark on the history of the universe. However, although he was enjoying those confrontations, his mind still returned from time to time to his friends and family. Goku had made his choice, but that didn't mean he would stop worrying about them. On Earth, Gohan and Vegeta trained tirelessly. The first days in the gravity chamber would be hard for Gohan.
Vegeta had no compassion. Each training was a test that pushed him to the limit. But as the weeks passed, Gohan began to see progress. He was learning to control the power of his beast mode, to channel his energy instead of letting anger dominate him. One day, after especially exhausting training, Gohan would collapse on the floor of the chamber. Vegeta watched him in silence, evaluating his performance. "Are you giving up?" Vegeta asked with a touch of mockery in his voice. Not even joking, Gohan would answer while he got up with difficulty. "I'm going to dominate this power. I can't fail." Vegeta smiled slightly. "I hope so, because if you fail, we will all pay the price." Vegeta said, "Eventually, I will have to return to the planet of beasts, and it will all depend on you." With each passing day, Gohan felt that he was closer to reaching total control of his transformation. The image of his father, his sacrifice, and the promise he had made to protect the Earth pushed him to move on. "I have to give everything. I have to be the new hero of the Earth," Gohan said with great determination. But Bulma's warning would complicate things. "Gohan, come here for a moment. Your mother is looking for you," Bulma said with a muted tone, as if she knew that things were not right. "Ugh, damn it," Gohan said. "This must not be good at all." "Gohan, put on your pants. Don't let your mother tell you what you have to do," Vegeta said. "I know. Now I am responsible for the Earth. My mother will have to understand," Gohan said seriously. Gohan would arrive with his mother. Chi-Chi looked devastated. "Mother, I guess I already know what you mean," Gohan said. "Son, Chi-Chi said without knowing how to start. "I know you feel pressured by your father's death. I just want you to think about what you are going to do. And whatever your decision is, I will respect it." "Really?" Gohan said, disconcerted, since he expected his mother to forbid him to train. "Yes, I'm serious," Chi-Chi said. "I didn't want to let you train, but your father's death has made me think. It's not worth studying in a destroyed world. I don't want you to become the Gohan of Trunks' future. I want you to be strong and keep this planet standing." "Thanks for understanding, Mom," Gohan said with a big smile. Gohan would hug his mother. He was relieved that he could count on his support. "Now I don't understand. Kakaroto was not so wrong after all to make that decision," Vegeta thought. That way Gohan would continue with his training, climbing his power beyond the limits known to him. In the planet of Beerus, the god of destruction and wisdom, they studied the Earth. Being aware of everything, they watched the evolution now that Goku is gone. "When I told Goku that on Earth they should take care of themselves, I didn't mean that he had to lose his life to achieve it," Beerus said. "He's an idiot. I guess it's the real motivation that the Turkulars need," Whis said. "After all, remember that they are mortal. Their motivations are different from divine beings." "Now, Vegeta must continue on his path," Beerus said. "And he stays on Earth.
everything will return to the same. You're right. I've already talked to him, Whis said. Don't worry about that. He's leaving everything organized. The days would become weeks, while Vegeta acted like Gohan's teacher. The training had been hard, but it was worth it. Gohan had made great progress, but Vegeta had to go. Very well, Gohan, it's time to go, Vegeta said. But Mr. Vegeta, this planet is your home. You don't have to go, Gohan said. If I don't go, you won't be able to assume the responsibility that belongs to you, Vegeta said. I have to do it for Kakaroto. I understand, Gohan said. He has paid. At least he has talked to Bulma. Bulma knows how things are. I don't need to tell her anything, Vegeta said. Vegeta would take 2 fingers to his forehead, and he would emit a curious smile towards Gohan. Goodbye, Gohan, Vegeta said when he left with the teleportation. Was that the teleportation? Gohan said, disconcerted. Wow, I think I should learn it too. The Earth was full of challenges to come. Now Gohan was responsible, and he had to dedicate his life to training. The news of Goku's death would spread throughout Universe 7 until it reached the ears of the worst person of all, Frieza. The evil Imperator, knowing the news of Goku's death, undertook a direct trip to Earth. Without Goku, he was ready to take revenge. Wow, this tragedy will change things a lot, Frieza said with an evil smile. While the evil Imperator was preparing for his imminent attack, Gohan was meditating on the top of a mountain. He only had one thing in mind: be stronger than his own father. I have to give it all. I can't give up, Gohan thought. I have to be the protector of this planet anyway. Suddenly, Gohan would feel an immense energy. Frieza's ki was approaching. It's not true, Gohan said, terrified, when he interrupted his meditation. Gohan would observe his hands. These trembled. No, it can't be. Why right now? Does he know that my father is dead? Gohan would not be the only one. Who would feel it? Piccolo, too. Perceiving the energy of the evil Imperator, he would not hesitate to go for Gohan. Gohan, Frieza is coming this way, Piccolo said, seriously. I know, Mr. Piccolo, Gohan said. I don't know what you're planning, but I don't like this at all. Piccolo would observe Gohan seriously. I don't want to pressure you, but you must understand that now everything depends on you. I know, Gohan said with great determination. I don't care if it's Frieza. I'll stop him. And have you been able to use that new form?
I haven't put it to the test, Gohan said. I only trained my physique because I realized that that form requires a great waste of energy. Then I think this is the perfect time, Piccolo said. You will need that form to defeat Frieza. You know perfectly well what that big wimp is capable of. Well, let's do it, Gohan said. Piccolo observed Gohan with a serious and firm look, noticing the tension in the air. He knew that Gohan was under overwhelming pressure, but he also trusted that Goku's son was capable of overcoming any obstacle, no matter how fearsome it was. Remember, Gohan, Piccolo said, Frieza is not the same as you faced years ago. He has obtained new forms and has increased his power since then. Do not underestimate him. Gohan agreed with determination. His look was a mixture of fear and resolution that showed that he understood the seriousness of the situation. The Earth depended on him and could not afford to fail. Without his father by his side, everything fell on his shoulders. He was now the protector of the Earth. The sky suddenly darkened, and a cold wind ran through the air. Piccolo and Gohan felt the closeness of Frieza. Evil energy was unmistakable, a tangible threat in the air. It's here, Piccolo said. Gohan would squeeze his fists, feeling the weight of the moment on him. On the horizon, a figure appears floating in the air, unfortunately approaching the duo. Frieza smiled maliciously as he descended to Earth. His eyes shone with a cold and calculating flash. He felt that this time he could take revenge on everyone. So, the great Gohan is now the protector of this planet, Frieza said with a mocking voice as he landed softly. How disappointing. I expected to face your father, but it seems that I will have to settle for you. Gohan breathed deeply, trying to keep calm. He knew that he could not be carried away by Frieza's provocations. The evil emperor was as cruel as he was powerful, and any mistake could cost him dearly. You don't need to worry about my father, Gohan would answer firmly. I am more than enough to stop you. Frieza laughed with his voice resonating in the place. Do you really think you have a chance against me? I have reached a level that your dear father could not even dream of. And you? You are just a simple human with a little Saiyan blood, Frieza said. You have no chance against me. Gohan would close his eyes for a moment, concentrating. He knew that the battle would be difficult, but he could not hesitate. He would remember the sacrifice of his father and the promise he made to himself to protect the Earth. We'll see, Frieza, Gohan said with determination. I am not the same child you faced years ago. Frieza smiled with contempt, but before he could respond, Gohan disappeared from sight at an amazing speed, appearing right in front of him with a powerful blow aimed at his face. Frieza, surprised by Gohan's speed, would barely manage to block the blow, and he would be thrown back several meters, impacting a nearby mountain. Piccolo watched in silence with his arms crossed. It's ready, Piccolo murmured to himself. Gohan has changed. Frieza would emerge from the rubble with a twisted smile on his face. Interesting, Frieza said, cleaning the dust off his golden body. It seems that you have improved since our last fight, but that will not be enough to defeat me. Without prior notice, Frieza would launch towards Gohan at a brutal speed, unleashing a series of fast and precise blows. Gohan blocked and dodged with difficulty, feeling the incredible power behind each attack. Despite his training, he could notice that Frieza had the advantage in terms of brute force. You can't beat me, kid, Frieza screamed as he threw a powerful ray of energy at Gohan, who would barely manage to dodge it. The ray destroyed the top of the mountain where they were. Gohan retreats, jading and feeling the sweat on his forehead. It's stronger than I imagined, Gohan thought. Gohan, I have to change strategy. Piccolo, who was still watching from a distance, would take a step forward. Gohan, don't hold back. Use your true power, Piccolo said. You have to get that beast out of you. Gohan agreed. He knew that he could not continue to lengthen the battle. If he continued to fight in his base form, Frieza would surpass him sooner or later. He would close his eyes for a moment, concentrating. His aura began to intensify. Frieza watched him curiously. What are you planning, kid? Do you think a simple increase in energy will save you? Nobody can beat the great Frieza. But Gohan wouldn't answer. In his mind, he would remember every time his father had sacrificed everything to protect others. He would remember the battle against Cell when he unleashed his true power for the first time. And now, more than ever, he needs to unleash everything he had inside. Gohan screamed as his aura expanded violently. The ground trembled under his feet. His black hair would begin to shine, turning silver, while his body emitted a bright light. His ki had changed. It wasn't just the power of a Super Saiyan. This was something beyond, something that only he could master. Piccolo watched in amazement. It's the ultimate form that he has been perfecting, Piccolo thought. The evolution of his mystical potential. Frieza, although surprised by the increase in power, didn't seem worried. That's all? Frieza asked with a mocking smile. Interesting, but it is still not enough to stop me. Gohan would open his eyes, now completely in his new form. Do not underestimate me, Frieza said. This time, there will be no second chances. The battle would begin again, but now Gohan had the advantage. His speed had increased drastically, and his attacks were much more precise and devastating. Every blow he threw made the air tremble, and Frieza, for the first time in a long time, would begin to lose ground. What is this? Frieza screamed, furious as he blocked Gohan's attacks. It should not be so strong. This is my true power, Frieza, Gohan responded as he hit him in the stomach, sending him flying to the sky with devastating force. Frieza would crash into the ground, creating a huge crater around him. He would slowly get up, coughing blood. His gaze had become darker, and his malicious smile had disappeared. "Damn you, Saiyan," Frieza groaned as his energy began to intensify. "I will not allow you to humiliate me this way." With a roar of anger, Frieza unleashed all his power. His golden aura was completely enveloping him. The ground would tremble as Frieza's evil energy grew, making the air feel heavy and oppressive. Gohan would not back down. He knew that this would be the final battle. If Frieza managed to overcome this moment, the Earth would be lost. "I will not let you win, Frieza," Gohan screamed as he threw himself at him. His silver aura shone with a blinding intensity. The final battle had begun. Gohan and Frieza's blows resonated in the air like explosions, each one trying to overcome the other. The force of their attacks shook the landscape, destroying mountains and creating craters on the ground. Each one knew he could not afford the luxury of losing.
Piccolo watched from a distance with concern. "Gohan, I trust you can do it," Piccolo thought. He knew his former student was giving everything he had, but Frieza was a cunning and ruthless enemy. Gohan, despite his new form and his incredible power, began to feel the exhaustion. He knew he could not maintain that form for long. "I have to finish this now," Gohan thought, yawning. Frieza, on the other hand, was furious. Despite having unleashed all his power, Gohan was still at his level, and he was even beginning to overcome it at times. "This is unacceptable," Frieza screamed furiously as he threw a huge energy ball at Gohan. Gohan would barely manage to block the attack, but the impact pushes him back several meters. "I cannot give up," Gohan thought as he squeezed his teeth. Finally, Gohan decides it was time to risk it all. He would raise his ki to the maximum. His silver aura was enveloping him with more force than ever. "This is the end, Frieza," Gohan screamed as he charged a powerful attack. "I cannot believe Gohan has so much power," Piccolo thought, disconcerted. Frieza, realizing the danger, would try to retreat, but it was too late. Gohan would launch his final attack, a ray of pure energy that would cross the battlefield and hit Frieza directly. Frieza's scream resounded in the air while his body was enveloped by the explosion of energy. Gohan would fall on his knees, exhausted but victorious. He had won, but he knew that Frieza's threat would not be the last. As protector of the Earth, he would have to give it all. "I finally finished that worm," Gohan said. "Gohan, I cannot believe it," Piccolo said. "Not even with Zamasu did you have that power." "Yes, it is. That training helped me control this form," Gohan said. "But I still have a long way to go. I have to master the energy control better." Suddenly, a laser from here would cross Gohan's shoulder, leaving him a great wound. "It cannot be," Piccolo said, disconcerted. Frieza was still standing. He was badly wounded and without his golden form, but he was still alive. The evil emperor jaded by his bad condition, but he was ready to keep fighting. "Damn worm," Frieza said. "How dare you do this to me?" Gohan would cough blood, while Piccolo would stand guard to fight. "Rest. I'll take care of eliminating it," Piccolo said. "No," Gohan said with great determination. "This fight is mine, and I must take care of my actions. This was my mistake, and I will solve it." "Gohan, leave your pride aside," Piccolo said. "The important thing is to eliminate it. With the power you have, it is more than enough to eliminate it in one blow," Gohan said. "It's not worth it." Frieza would be enraged, since he knew that Gohan was telling the truth. Frieza's power and Piccolo's were very different. "No matter what they say, I will finish them both anyway," Frieza said. Frieza would burst his ki with the few forces he had left. Despite his poor condition, he was ready to fight Gohan. The battle between Gohan and Frieza reached a critical point. Frieza's fast and precise blows hit Gohan with overwhelming ferocity. Each punch and burst of energy left the young warrior exhausted.
With his body trembling from exhaustion, Frieza, in his golden form, was stronger than Gohan had anticipated. And although his mystical power kept him standing, it was evident that he was losing ground. "You're done, Gohan. You should have brought reinforcements," Frieza said, with a malicious smile while his tail whipped the air, vibrating with impatience. Gohan breathed with difficulty. His knees trembled as he tried to keep calm. He knew he couldn't afford to lose, but he was also aware that, as things were, Frieza had the advantage. "If I don't do something soon, everything will be lost," Gohan thought with the sweat running down his face. Gohan would look at the ground, covered with craters and debris. The echoes of the blows and explosions resounded in the desolate landscape. Piccolo, watching from a distance, shouted with frustration. "Gohan, don't hold back. You know you have more power inside you. Free him," Piccolo said. "The Earth depends on you." Piccolo's words would pierce Gohan's mind, but he couldn't light the spark he needed so much. In the depths of his being, there was a persistent doubt, a shadow that prevented him from unleashing his true power. And if he wasn't strong enough to defeat Frieza? And if, like his father Namek, he fell before the tyrant? This is not going the right way, Gohan thought. Frieza, detecting fear in Gohan, smiled arrogantly. His laughter resonated in the battlefield in a mocking and cruel way. "Is that all you have? Goku's great son is nothing more than a coward?" Frieza said. With a golden flash, Frieza would unleash a burst of blows on Gohan, each one stronger than the previous. The young warrior would try to defend himself, but Frieza's attacks surpassed him. Gohan would be thrown to the ground with such force that a cloud of dust and rubble would rise around him. Gohan, jaded and in pain, slowly incorporates with his trembling arms leaning on the ground. He knew he was at the limit, but in his mind resounded the words of his teacher Piccolo and the memory of his father. "No, I can't fail," Gohan murmured to himself, clenching his fists. The image of his father Goku would appear in his mind. The fight that Namek had fought, his sacrifice to destroy Frieza, reminded him of what had been his battle against the evil Emperor. "Dad, trust me," Gohan said. "I cannot let him down." With renewed determination, Gohan would raise his eyes towards Frieza, who looked at him with contempt. "You haven't won yet, Gohan," he said with a raspy voice but firm. Frieza would raise an intriguing eyebrow. "You still resist? I admire you for your perseverance, but that won't change your fate," Frieza said. Frieza would throw himself at Gohan with a blinding speed, ready to strike the final blow. Gohan would see him coming, but this time he wouldn't back down. Inside him, something would begin to awaken. A sleeping power, buried under layers of fear and doubt, would begin to untie. Just before Frieza could reach him, Gohan would close his eyes for a moment. In his mind, he would remember the words of his teacher, the image of his father, and then, like thunder, the vision of his own daughter Pan would appear before him. "I can't fail her either," Gohan thought. With a scream that resonated throughout the battlefield, Gohan would unleash an explosion of energy that would envelop his body. A violet and bluish light surrounded him while his ki rose exponentially. Frieza, surprised by the sudden explosion of power, would stop in his tracks. "What the hell is this?" Frieza said.
Gohan's eyes opened suddenly, shining with a fierce intensity. His hair, which used to remain in its mystical form, would now acquire a shiny silver tone with light purple shades. His muscles tightened. But it wasn't a transformation like the previous ones. It wasn't the Super Saiyan. Not even the mystical power was something different. Gohan had unleashed the Beast Mode, a power that even rivals the gods. "Frieza, I won't let you keep hurting my people," Gohan said with a terrifying calm. His voice was deeper, more authoritarian. The air around him vibrated with a pure power emanating from his body. Frieza would look at him disbelievingly. "What is this power?" Frieza said, clenching his teeth, feeling for the first time in battle a pinch of fear. Gohan wouldn't give him time to react. With a speed that exceeded even Frieza's golden form, he would throw himself at him. In a blink of an eye, he was facing the tyrant, and with a single blow, he would throw him flying through the battlefield. Frieza would crash into a mountain, creating an explosion of rocks and dust. The impact would leave Frieza stunned, but before he could get up, Gohan was already on him. With a series of fast and precise blows, he crushed him to the ground. Each blow was stronger than the previous one. "Damn moccasin!" Frieza screamed as he tried to counter Gohan's attacks, but the difference in power was overwhelming. "Is this the best you have, Frieza?" Gohan asked. His voice was full of confidence that he hadn't shown before. "Gohan's power is incredible," Piccolo said, disconcerted. "He has finally awakened his true fighting spirit." With a scream of fury, Frieza would throw himself at Gohan, releasing a burst of golden energy that covered the sky. The attack was so devastating that even from space, the planet trembled at the amount of power released. "Die, Gohan!" Frieza screamed as the energy concentrated at a point and then exploded into a huge energy ball that descended on Gohan. But Gohan didn't move at all. With cold eyes and calculators, he would raise a hand, and with a simple gesture, he would deflect Frieza's gigantic energy ball, sending it to outer space, where it would explode, without causing any damage. Frieza, astonished, couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This is not possible," said Frieza, disconcerted. "It must be a joke." Gohan slowly approached him. Every step he took, the tyrant felt that the distance between them was getting shorter and his fate more inevitable. "Don't come near me," said Frieza with a mixture of fear and fury. "Frieza, this time you won't escape. For all the evil you have caused, from my father, from my friends, for Earth, this ends here," said Gohan, whose voice resounded like a thunder. Frieza, desperate, would get up from a jump and try to attack Gohan with all his strength, but it was useless. Gohan dodged it easily, as if Frieza were no more than a beginner. Goku and Bardock witnessed the fight from beyond, unable to believe what they were seeing. "Kakarot, you have never had a transformation like that," said Bardock. "No, never," said Goku. "Gohan always had the ability to surpass my powers, only he never dedicated himself to martial arts. If he had, he would be stronger than Beerus himself, the god of destruction." Finally, Gohan would concentrate all his energy on a final attack. He would raise both arms, and his aura would begin to shine intensely. The air around him trembled and the ground creaked under his feet. Frieza, now scared, retreated without knowing how to act. "No, you can't do this to me. I'm Frieza. I'm the Emperor of the Universe," said Frieza. "Neither you nor anyone can stop me." Gohan said nothing. With a fierce cry, he would release all his energy into a powerful Kanhan-Han. The wave of blue and violet energy would shoot at Frieza with an unstoppable force. The tyrant would try to block it, but it would be in vain. The energy would completely envelop him, and with a cry of despair, Frieza would be completely disintegrated. When the light fades, Gohan was standing in the middle of the remains of the battle, breathing with difficulty. He had won. Frieza had been defeated, and the Earth was safe. From a distance, Piccolo watched with pride. "You did it, Gohan. You did it," Piccolo said. On the planet of Beerus, Vegeta, who had been watching the battle, would squeeze his fists. "Damn Gohan, he did it," Vegeta said with a mixture of envy and pride. Beerus smiled slightly. "It seems that he has exceeded expectations. It will be interesting to see how far he can go."
Beerus said. In the sky, Goku and Bardock also watched him. Goku smiled with pride, knowing that his son had reached a new level of power. Good job, Gohan, Goku murmured. Bardock, looking at the scene, felt, Your son is strong, Kakarotto. He has inherited the power of the family, Bardock said. He will go very far, and the Earth will be safe. With the battle finally over, Gohan would return with his friends and family. He had achieved the impossible, but he knew that there were still many challenges ahead, and this time he was ready to face them without a doubt. Beerus and Whis, satisfied that their plans had gone well, knew that they had to revive Frieza. Very good, Whis. Now we must do our part, Beerus said. Are you really going to revive him? Vegeta said. It's better if he stays in hell. If we didn't, we would fail our word, Whis said. The gods can't be left as traitors, or we would look like crap, Beerus said. I suppose they will be responsible for what Frieza does when he's alive, Vegeta said. Mr. Vegeta, it would be the same as if we hadn't done anything, since before everything, Frieza was already alive, Whis said. I hope you are not questioning the order of a god, Beerus said. Vegeta would remain silent since he could not say anything about it. And I remind you that this must remain a secret, a word that you say about this, and I will eliminate you. Vegeta would remain silent, since he could not say anything about it. And I remind you that this must remain a secret, a word that you say about this, and I will eliminate you, Beerus said. Understood, Vegeta said. Whis would go to hell in search of Frieza. Wow, I thought they would leave me here, Frieza said. Sorry for the delay, Whis said. Whis would free Frieza. Then his aurora would disappear. Wow, I feel like new, Frieza said. I will take him back to his planet, Whis said. Frieza would return to his planet, ready for revenge. Now that he had just stopped his fight with Gohan, he had set a new goal: surpass it. The power that Gohan had awakened would only stimulate the Emperor of Evil. He wanted to end the Saiyans once and for all. That damn Brad, Frieza said. Without Goku alive, that child must take his place. But he's much dumber than his father. I just have to train and be smarter. On Earth, Vegeta trained intensely. He knew that reviving Frieza was a huge mistake, and he trained with everything to defeat him in case he returned to cause problems. That bastard, Vegeta said, while he did not stop throwing blows into the air. In heaven, Goku was happy that his son was able to protect the Earth. Kakarot, are you not going to make yourself revive? Bardock said. It is assumed that the angel can revive you despite everything. No, it would not make sense, Goku said. I prefer to stay here and meet the legendary warriors. Gohan would close his eyes for a moment, assimilating what he had just accepted. It was not a decision taken lightly, but it was necessary. If Frieza came back stronger than expected, Gohan should be prepared. The fate of the Earth could not depend solely on his father, Piccolo, or the other Z warriors. This time, everything would fall into him. And he had to become a protector worthy of that role. While silence settled in the air, Beerus would mock with his expression full of boredom. Whis, with his characteristic carefree smile, would take a step forward, holding his staff in front of him. Well, Gohan, there is no time to lose, Whis said, with his soft but full of authority voice. The training will begin immediately. Come with me. Before Gohan could fully process what was happening, he would feel how his body was surrounded by a soft bluish light. From one second to another, the devastated plain in which he had fought Frieza disappears from his sight, replaced by the vast and immaculate sky of the planet of Beerus. The god of destruction, Goku and Piccolo also appeared, although Goku and Piccolo would not participate in the training directly. Gohan, still stunned by the sudden change of scenery, would look around. "Where are we?" Gohan murmured, observing the quiet but imposing landscape. "This is my planet, boy." Beerus would intervene with a dry tone. "Here you will train under the supervision of Whis. I warn you, it won't be easy." Goku, always smiling, enthusiastically said, "This is the best place to train, Gohan. You will learn things you didn't even imagine." Goku said, "You don't know how lucky you are." Gohan agreed, with his determination strengthening. His body was still hurt by the battle with Frieza, but there was no time to rest. He had to overcome his limits. "I will give my best," Gohan said with great enthusiasm. Whis would approach calmly, observing Gohan with a sharp look. "Before starting, I must evaluate your current level. Despite your potential, I want to see how you handle my training style," Whis said. Gohan would breathe deeply, feeling that his body was not yet in optimal condition. But if he had learned something from his father, it was that difficulties were not excuses. He would prepare for what was coming. "Go ahead, Gohan, give me your best attack," Whis said, without any expression of concern. Gohan shouted a battle cry. His golden aura was enveloping him as he ascended to the state of Super Saiyan. In a blink, he disappears from his position, throwing himself towards Whis with a burst of blows. But what happens next would be disconcerting. Whis, without the slightest effort, avoids each blow with precise and calm movements. His feet barely touched the ground, moving with a grace that seemed supernatural. Every second, Gohan increased the speed and strength of his attacks, but he could not even touch his master. "Impressive, Gohan. Your speed is remarkable," Whis would comment, easily dodging a burst of punches. But it's not enough yet. Suddenly, with an almost imperceptible movement, Whis would gently hit him in the stomach. Gohan, despite having felt that the touch had barely been a rubbing, would be sent flying backwards, impacting against a nearby hill. He would get up with difficulty, jading by the force of the attack. "It can't be," Gohan thought, surprised by the ease with which he had been defeated. Whis would not give him time to rest. "Remember, Mr. Gohan, you should not only trust in brute force. True skill lies in anticipation and control. Now, let's try again," Whis said. Gohan would return to the load, but this time he would change his approach. Instead of relying solely on his speed and strength, he would try to read Whis' movements, trying to predict where his master would be every second. As the minutes passed, Whis would begin to see small flashes of improvement. "Interesting," Whis murmured, while avoiding an attack that would pass dangerously close to his face. "He has a very fast adaptation ability." After what seemed like hours of intense combat, Whis would make a signal to stop. Gohan, jaded and exhausted, would fall on his knees. Although he had improved in the short time he had been training, he was still not close to the level he needed to face enemies like Frieza at his maximum power. "That's enough for today," Whis said. "Tomorrow we will continue." During the following days, Gohan's training would become increasingly intense. Whis subjected him to exercises that challenged both his body and his mind. Gohan practiced the technique of moving without thinking, something that Goku had begun to learn but still did not fully master. It was an ability that allowed the body to react by itself without the mind interfering. This style of combat, known as the Ultra Instinct, would be key to defeat Frieza and other enemies in the future. "You must learn to empty your mind," Whis said repeatedly while hitting him in different directions, evading every Gohan attack without any effort. "You are thinking too much. Your body knows what to do, let it act." Gohan, although frustrated by the apparent simplicity of the lesson, would begin to understand. The days passed and his body would get used to the rigors of the training. His resistance would increase, his speed would improve, and most importantly, he would begin to notice a change in his way of perceiving combat. One day, while practicing, Gohan would achieve the unexpected. In a moment of pure concentration, he would stop thinking about his movements. He would move by instinct, dodging a Whis attack and launching a quick counterattack that would manage to rub the angel's cheek. Whis would stop surprised by the action. "Impressive, Gohan! You have taken a great step forward," Whis would say, admiring Gohan's potential. Gohan, although exhausted, smiled with satisfaction. He knew he still had a long way to go, but that little success would give him the confidence he needed to move on. Gohan's training continued for weeks. Each day was more demanding than the previous one, but Gohan did not stop. While training, he would realize something important. He had been containing part of his power all this time, fearful of unleashing his true potential. He would remember the moments when he had reached incredible levels of power, like when he became Super Saiyan 2 during the battle against Cell. But now, with the Whis guide, he was beginning to discover that his true potential was much greater than he had imagined.
One afternoon, while training in a mountainous region of the planet of Beerus, Whis decides to test Gohan in a different way. "Today, Gohan, we will train something different. I want you to fight with me with all your strength. Do not contain yourself," Whis said. "Okay," Gohan said. Gohan agreed, knowing that this was his chance to show what he had learned. He would focus on raising his ki to reach the state of Super Saiyan. His golden aura shone intensely, but he knew that would not be enough. With a scream, his power would increase even more, and his hair would change a silver tone, a mix between Super Saiyan and Ultra Instinct. Whis was watching him with interest, impressed by the progress he had made in such a short time. "Go ahead, Gohan," Whis said. "Show me what you can do." The battle would begin. Gohan was moving at an impressive speed, almost impossible to follow for anyone who did not have the sharp senses of Whis. The shock of his blows resonated throughout the planet, creating waves of energy that shook the ground. Despite the difference in power between them, Gohan began to get closer to Whis than anyone would have expected. Each Gohan attack was faster and more precise than the previous one. Emotion and adrenaline took him beyond his limits, while Whis, although he still had the advantage, Gohan began to show signs of effort when dodging the attacks of the young Saiyan. "Impressive," Whis would comment without stopping to move. "I never thought I would advance so fast." But Gohan was not satisfied. He knew he could do more. Suddenly, he would remember the words of his father and Piccolo, the responsibility he had on his shoulders. The fate of the Earth and his family depended on him. He could not fail. In a cry of pure determination, Gohan unleashed all the power he had been containing. His aura intensified at every moment, changing to a pure silver glow, and his hair also acquires a bright tone, similar to Ultra Instinct, but unique in it. He had reached a new form, a mixture between his innate power and the training he received. Whis would stop for a moment, observing the change in Gohan. "Incredible! This power is truly amazing," Whis said, disconcerted. Gohan, now transformed, would launch again at the attack. This time, Whis would have to make the most of it to dodge the blows. The intensity of the battle had reached a completely new level. Finally, after several minutes of fierce combat, Gohan would manage to connect a direct blow to Whis. Although the angel manages to block part of the impact, it would be thrown back, landing gracefully on the ground.
Whis, that's enough, Beerus said when stopping the fight. Yes, I guess so, Whis said. Gohan would not say a single word. He was still processing that he had been able to hit the angel directly. I did it, Gohan would finally say. I think it's time to go fight Frieza, Beerus said. I guess your power is enough to face him. Yes, you're right. I can't let him return to Earth, Gohan said. I must finish him right now. Gohan, I'm proud of you, Piccolo said. Not only have you surpassed your father, but also the God of Destruction. Mr. Piccolo, don't say that, Gohan said. It's disrespectful. Tell the truth, Beerus said. But you don't have what it takes to be a God of Destruction, so don't overdo it because you won't be. I don't care, Gohan said. I would have liked my father to be here to see him. Don't worry about that. His father sees everything from beyond, Whis said. Really? Gohan said. Goku was in heaven, seeing everything that happened on Beerus's planet through a crystal ball. I always knew that my son would surpass me, Goku said, with great pride. That way, Gohan and Piccolo would return to Earth. Gohan was ready to face Frieza. What are you going to do? Piccolo said. Are you going to look for Frieza, or will you let him come? I'll go look for him, Gohan said. I can't give him the slightest advantage. I was going to leave him here on Earth, but if you wish, I can look for Mr. Frieza right now, Whis said. Please, Gohan said. Whis would use his binoculars to look for Frieza. He would find him on a remote planet where he was training very hard. Wow, as we thought, he hasn't been wasting time, Whis said. I'm ready, Gohan said. Mr. Piccolo, the intensity is now higher. I recommend you stay, Whis said. I understand, Piccolo said. That way, Whis and Gohan would reach that planet. Frieza would be bewildered by the presence of both. What is this? Frieza said, amazed. Frieza, I came to eliminate you once and for all, Gohan said. Oh, I see, Frieza said without any emotion. Although I don't think you're as lucky as the last time. What are you talking about? Gohan said, upset. Now you will know my new transformation, Black Frieza, Frieza said with a dark smile. What will happen now that Gohan became very strong? Did Frieza really reach the black form? And even more importantly, who will be the winner of this fight? We will know all this in the next part of this theory. Friends, I hope you loved the movie of Goku for Evil. Remember that if you want to see more parts of this theory, this video has to reach 8,000 likes, many comments, and subscribe for more theories. See you in the next video. Subscribe.